Hey, everybody. Welcome to today's Clear Path Leadercast. Really glad to have you join us. We'll just give people a minute or two, or maybe a minute to sync up and join us here on every Thursday at 5 Eastern. We go live here on Clear Path Leadercast, so I'm very excited for everyone to join. If you have an opportunity, you can link StreamYard into your whatever you're seeing this on, Facebook or YouTube, and I'll see your name when you drop comments. But I will be able to see any comments. So if you have questions as we go through, please let me know what questions you have, and I'm happy to jump in and answer them either at the end or if it makes sense in the middle of the conversation to start there as well. So let's go ahead and get started. I am Craig Anderson. I'm the president of Clear Path Coaching and Consulting. I am an accidental executive and a leadership confidence coach who helps accidental executives gain the confidence that they need to effectively lead their organizations to success. I came up through my career with an English degree. Who knows? I did not expect to end up running national sales teams and national departments and divisions for Fortune 500 companies, but yet that's where I found myself. Learned a lot about leadership over that time and what it's like to feel like the outsider at the table who doesn't have the MBA, who doesn't have all the business experience. And that's what I do in my practice, is help those accidental executives like I was build the confidence they need to be successful, to get rid of those sleepless nights, to get rid of all the second guessing themselves, and really lead with confidence and strength. So that's what we work on here at Clear Path Coaching and Consulting. And we talk about topics like this every week in Clear Path Leadercast, as well as through all of our social media platforms on LinkedIn, Facebook, YouTube, and our own site as well. Today's topic is managing difficult conversations. This is something that I think a lot of people struggle with. We talked about last week. We talked about imposter syndrome, which like 70% of people struggle with. I didn't see any good data on it, but I'm willing to bet a large chunk of people who find themselves in leadership roles have the same struggle of, how do I manage these difficult conversations? For me personally, it was always, I was very conflict averse, and I positioned in my head every difficult conversation as inevitably a conflict. So I wanted to avoid it. I had this whole, I would convince myself that, I don't really have to have this conversation. It was just a one-off. I don't need to go there. I'm sure it'll be better next time. I'm sure it will improve. Here's the truth. It's not going to improve if you don't address things. So, as an old boss of mine used to say, problems don't age well. And that's absolutely true. If you don't deal with some of these issues early on, where things aren't going the way you need them to go and aren't getting done the way they need to be done, or if somebody's just having a bad day or performance issues or whatever it is, you really need to address these conversations early on, before they become much bigger problems. A lot of times you find that it's just a minor corrective behavior. People start to see it, you follow up on it, and ultimately you find that the problem starts to resolve itself. There's a lot of people who have a lot of potential in your organization, but we all have rough spots. And if we can help, and that's an essence of good leadership, is helping our employees get past those rough spots so that they can grow and they can start achieving their full potential. So if you start positioning these difficult conversations not as inevitable conflicts, inevitable, I'm going to hurt their feelings or it's going to go south, really start positioning in your head, this is, how can I help someone fulfill their potential? Sometimes that potential is greater roles in your organization. Sometimes it's, this isn't the right organization for you, and let's figure out a way to get you somewhere where you can be successful. But those are kind of extreme examples of difficult conversations, but that's where it can go. So we need to start thinking about these things as larger opportunities. And when we find ourselves in leadership roles, that is such a crucial skill to develop. As you know, if you've watched any of these, I don't really believe that any of us are natural leaders. Leadership is a skill set. Some of us come by those skills more quickly, but anyone can start to learn these skills so that they can become an effective leader. So, as I said, throughout my career until I got a coach who started helping me with figuring out how to be more effective at difficult conversations, it was always a struggle in my career. So when I learned how to start having these difficult conversations, it really changed the trajectory of my leadership and my ability to grow. I'm not going to say it was always easy, but it was always something that I found, I became more cognizant of and became better at doing. Sometimes I still had to push myself past my comfort level, but that's leadership. Leadership is getting yourself past your comfort level. That's how you start to build confidence, is through doing things that you're afraid to do. So today I want to talk to you about some just things you can do to have more effective, difficult conversations for work or at work. So let's take, for example, we find someone who is constantly missing deadlines or not delivering on something they're supposed to do. The first step is, look at it, make sure you're looking at the issue objectively. Make sure you have a pretty good handle on what's going on and prepare yourself for the conversation. Now, if you're familiar with the book Crucial Conversations, it really gives you a great frame for thinking about these difficult conversations that you're about to have. And the way you want to start out in thinking through this conversation, it's important you want to prepare for this. You don't want to just try and have a rough conversation on their way to as they're making their way to the car at the end of the day. So, just as it comes to you. Let's think about preparing for these conversations. 3 questions that will help you effectively prepare for difficult conversations. And again, this is from Crucial Conversations, is 1, what do I want for myself from this difficult conversation? What is it that I want to achieve? Is it feeling better about the person I'm delegating to? Whatever that is, first thing is, what is it that I want from the conversation? The second question you want to ask yourself is, what do I want for the other person to have from this conversation? I don't think any of us look at our employees and say, man, I just want to ruin their day and I want to show them, I'll show them. That's not what we want. What we want is we want them to be successful, because when our team's successful, we'll be successful. So position this in your head as, what is it that I want for them out of this conversation? And then the third piece of the conversation is, what do I want for the relationship from this difficult conversation I'm going to have with them? So start with those 3 questions. Is, what is it that I want? I want, if they're missing deadlines, is, I really want them to be on top of the deadlines, because when they're missing them, I'm missing my deadlines and I'm not getting things done that I need to get done. So I want to make this problem go away. What I want for them out of the conversation is, I want them to learn how to hit deadlines and what to do if they're struggling to meet those deadlines. It could be, I want to give them some tips. It could be, I want to teach them how to ask for help. But what is it that I want from them out of the conversation? And what do I want out of the relationship? Well, I think, as I said, with any conversation with our employees, I want a positive outcome for the relationship. I've hired people because they interviewed well. I trust them. They have a strong skill set. So I want them to stay with my organization, and I want them to feel comfortable and positive in the organization. So when you start to frame these difficult conversations in your preparation as answering those 3 questions, you're going to find yourself thinking back a little more objectively, and then having a good sense and a good feeling as you go into it about what it is you really want from the conversation. Another thing that, I want to point out is important is getting to the point. When you sit down to have this conversation, get to the point. There's this whole, I forget what it's something sandwich, where it's like, I say something good, I say something bad, I say something good. I think that sounds really great, but if you're pulling someone in because you say, hey, I need to talk to you about something, they know something is not probably right. So just get to the point. Don't sugarcoat it. Just get to the point of the conversation. Hey, Bob, Julie, whatever. I've really noticed that you're having a struggle meeting deadlines. Here's what I see going on. The last 3 projects, I asked you to have it done by a certain day and a certain time. 1, it was a couple hours late. 1, I had to call you to make sure that it was getting done. And another one was even later than that. It actually dragged out over a weekend. And I'm finding this to becoming a recurring circumstance. And it's really causing a problem, because now I'm missing deadlines. I'm not sure what's going on with your workload, but that's what I've been observing. Is there anything I'm not seeing? So open it up to the conversation, and don't use a closed-ended question like I just did. You can try and use it as an open-ended question at the end to say, can you please tell me more about what's going on? Where are the challenges with you in hitting these deadlines? So get to the point, explain what it is you are observing, right? Because a lot of times there's what we observe and what they observe, and somewhere in between is the truth of what's going on. So make sure that you lay out very clearly, here's what I'm seeing, and here's why it's a problem. Tell me more about what you're seeing in this. you want to be open to their side of that conversation. So, what's going on in their world? Are they struggling with their overall workload? Are they getting a lot of interruptions? Maybe it's something on their personal life side that they're struggling with and it's causing them some distraction. So find out what's going on from the other person so that you can get a fully rounded set of circumstances, set of facts about what's going on. Then once you have that all laid out, be very clear with them about what you want to come out of this conversation. Here's what I need. So now that I understand that, I really need you to focus on getting these things done on time. So let's talk about your time management, and let's go through the discussion about what good time management practices are. Or, if you have to take some of the workload off temporarily because they're dealing with a personal issue, that's maybe something that you want to consider doing. Who else can you pull in? So find out, work through with them what the solution is, because we want to get a win-win out of these conversations. As you're going through these conversations, always keep, 1, an open mind. 2, don't jump in and finish people's sentences. Listen without interrupting. It's kind of that active listening. You want to hear, you want to repeat back what you're hearing, and then start moving on to the solution. So you really want to kind of take an inquisitive approach. Now, sometimes, I'm sure there are things, if you work in, where there's physical danger, you probably need to get to the point very quickly, maybe in a warehouse situation or something like that. But in a professional situation, take the time to go through these conversations. And even if it is urgent, that doesn't mean you need to be kind of an ass about it. You need to really open it up into a conversation that you want to have with them about what's going on, what we can do to help everyone here be more successful. When you can take these steps, you're going to have a much better chance at a positive outcome to that conversation. And if you have questions, as I'm kind of wrapping up here, please drop them in the comments. But you're going to have a more positive, one, you're going to get your problem solved. You're not going to have that sleepless night where you wake up at 3 a.m. worrying about the conversation with somebody because you've already had it. Get to the point of it. Listen with empathy, have active listening, understand going into the conversation what it is you want for yourself, what you want for them, what you want for the relationship. You really have a set of things you want long-term for your business. So you want to focus on, here's where I'm trying to take the business. I want to bring you with me. That's where we start having these conversations. And so that's the essence of the difficult conversation, is to jump in and be, really understand why, what it is you're trying to resolve, be open-minded about what's going on the other side, practice active listening, and be direct without being rude or kind of a jerk about it. These are the things that are going to be the good ingredients for you to have a positive outcome to a difficult conversation. And again, you've got to have these difficult conversations. It's a big struggle for new leaders who aren't used to maybe having these conversations. And by the way, these skills apply to your personal life too, but having difficult conversations is sometimes a big part of being a leader. Now, you can head some of these off by being really good about casting a vision for your business, being really clear about in your communication about how you want things done. When you start delegating, be very clear about timelines and what you want, what success looks like in that project. So these are all the things you want to start building together as you're getting ready for this. So lay a good groundwork of communication and vision casting for your business. You'll have fewer of these issues. Deal with them quickly. Don't let them just kind of sit. Hope is not a strategy. Hoping people are going to change without any indication that they need to change is not something that's going to be a winner for you. So those are really the key pieces I want you to think about on managing difficult conversations. If you have questions and you weren't with us live, just give me a hashtag replay. Let me know what your question is, and I'll be happy to jump back into the comments to answer it. And if you're watching this on either YouTube or on my personal Facebook feed, or later on LinkedIn when I put this out there, clearpathcoaches.com/community is the Clear Path Leaders Forum. Join us there. We have lots of conversations about these kinds of things every day. Thanks everybody so much for joining us on this Thursday's Clear Path Leadercast. See you soon. Take care. Bye-bye.